I want to take this opportunity to talk a little bit less technically and tell you what I see as the wave of generative AI and how this thing will change the way that we are actually operating. We all know what generative AI is. If you're not aware of that, it's relatively simple. I think as computer scientists, we've realized that if you train a model with a lot of data, a lot of sample data, it can generate data similar to data that it was trained with. So that's why it's called generative AI. So at its core, it's relatively simple. But such a very simple idea turns out to be very, very powerful. It is changing every facet of what we do. It is changing the way that artists are creating stories. It's changing the way that software engineers are writing code. And this makes everything a lot faster. And as you can see, market is being flooded by different co-pilots in different areas. If you are not from the technology background, the first thing that you should do is to understand what these models are, what is their competency, and what they cannot do. For example, when we talk about generative AI, they're not very good at handling numbers, although they're very, very good at creating text. But if you're, for example, an accountant, you need to figure out what these co-pilots mean in terms of your efficiency and productivity. One thing I can promise you, generative AI will not take your job, but it definitely, a person with your background who knows how to use these co-pilots can take your job. So we need to understand what these things mean in our field and what they cannot do. Obviously, if you're an artist or if you're expressing yourself, you probably now have the ability to increase the scope of your art. So you're a good storyteller now, accessing things like Midjourney or Dolly. You can create very, very interesting images accompanying what you do and what you say. Having said that, it's not a silver bullet technology. There are a lot of things with generative AI that are not actually working as well as some are hyping them to be able to do. Generative AI is by definition very non-deterministic. What it means, in simple terms, if you're asking the same question 2 different times, you get slightly different answers. That might not be a big issue for a lot of things, but for real-time decision making or when we need precision, that's not a very good characteristic to have. They also lose information as well. So there are experiments that showing that if you train a large language model solely with output of another language model, after a few iterations, so you get the output of this language model, train another language model, and then you do that, eventually you will lose a lot of information. What this means that they're not very suitable for original pieces of work. There might be a way to go. They also consume a lot of hardware, which might be an issue because that might concentrate the power into the hands of companies and individuals with a lot of GPUs in terms of building a specialized model. But again, this is the beginning of a new era. We are now seeing that this could be the new way that we are interacting with computers. Now the speculation is by 2030, around 30% of what we do will go through some sort of AI-infused workload. Let's learn it together. Let's figure out what it does for us. There is no way to hide from this wave of technology. I promise you, this is a real paradigm shift. This is not a misuse of the word paradigm shift. There's actually things are changing. And also there will be new career opportunities as well, right? Like internet that brought a lot of new things. I think generative AI and AI will bring new opportunities as well. So if you're in a place in your life that you're selecting your career path, you might want to look at what are the new opportunities given this technology. And also, it's very exciting to be at the forefront of stuff. And instead of waiting for technology to shape our life, I think we have a solid opportunity to shape the technology.